I think everyone's different in their approach in terms of psychology. A very typical archetype of ultramarathon runner is someone who's suffered a lot in their lives.
Okay.
So they could be a drug addict. They could be, someone who's had traumatic issues in their past. A lot of it is dependency on drugs.
Yeah.
And they flip one drug into another drug, and one obsession to another obsession.
Yeah.
So that's the typical story where they just swap out one thing for another obsession, and they just go crazy with ultramarathon running because it excites them the same kind of way.
Yeah.
Instead of doing something for the negative, they go into the positive. To me, that is not my story. I've actually been really privileged to live an amazing life, and my parents, I have them to thank for. So I don't really have those painful history and stories to work from, to really use as fuel.
Yeah.
It's something called adversarial growth, or fuel from adversity. And people use their pain, and their suffering, and they use it to push them in the opposite direction. And so when you understand that there's a continuum of energy and how you use that energy, then you can really start to chase after your goals and dreams. But for me, I've never had the depth of negative to push me into the depth of positive. I've been that pretty neutral, happy-go-lucky guy, but yet I've pushed because I'm curious.
Yeah.
What does it take to get there?
Yeah.
Without having to use tragedy and triumph as motivation. I'm like a normal dude that enjoys regular life and stuff like that, but I'm irregular that I love unconventional curiosity. I'm always looking to learn about the next thing and what everyone else is doing and how I can make an impact into the world of positive. So that, in essence, is a difference in my story, and I think it's much more accessible to everyone else. That's why I think, furthermore, ask me, hey, have you done, martial arts as a kid? Yeah. And I'm not a typical Chinese. I was just saying to them, I'm like, I did like a lot of things, but I played team sports like soccer, basketball, tennis, golf, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't go into martial arts. It wasn't a thing for my family. Yeah. We're very Canadianized, but we still respect tradition. So when they asked me, what are these mindsets from? Did you have to practice them when you were a kid? Are they ingrained in you? Are they a part of your genetic build-up and makeup? Yeah. And I said, no. I'm just interested in it.
Yeah, for sure. So have you trained someone that had that adversity before and that wanted to use that to kind of fuel them to do something like an Ironman or do something like an ultramarathon, and that you had to deal with that kind of emotional, I'd say emotional barrier that people have to kind of get through in order to reach that without either burning out or breaking themselves emotionally and or physically, right? Because I find that happens most times if people tend to use that for that purpose, right? So have you ever had to deal with that before, or?
Yeah, I think emotions or whatever you strive to use to help aid your performance, you gotta use it just like any, I would say, drug. If you abuse it, then that's obviously not the best. But if you know how to use it and you know why you're using it and your intention with it, then things can be much more to your liking and much more to your benefit long-term, sustainable and longevity-based. Yeah. But if you're, using emotional tragedies and those kind of situations to help, and you're relying on that stuff to help, I don't think that's a healthy way of acknowledging and respecting the past.
For sure.
So I've had clients for sure that have, gone through some traumas and some issues and even are still going through them. But how can we use different types of energy and different types of inspiration to help get us through obstacles, roadblocks, achieving our goals? There's so many things that you can use. Don't have to just dump into the bad stuff, into the tough stuff, to get you through it. Yeah. There's so many ways of using it.
And I find that's what makes a personal trainer, right? It's like that next degree of being able to know that person's mindset and be able to help them cope through that, because the gym is a very intimidating place to a certain degree, and people let out a lot of emotion. I've had clients cry all the time. I've had clients get mad. I've had them vent. They're always doing something where they're releasing, right? And I find that really does help to a certain degree. But yes, it can drive a person to really take it on and not be like you are curious about it, right? Rather than just trying to like, I feel like they're just using it to a certain degree to kind of like not either deal with the situation or just kind of avoid it altogether, right? You feel that, like, let's say you had someone that's sick in your family, right? And you use that instead of using fitness as a way to like kind of release, you kind of use it as a way to kind of not deal with the situation, right? And I feel like mental health really does play a key thing into not only helping you release a lot of that emotion, but it should be a way for you to release, not necessarily to kind of like avoid, right? Release, not avoid. That's what and I honestly feel like I've seen a lot of people that have gone through that, and sometimes it does help them in the short term, right? Where they can use that adversity to lose weight or to run that marathon or to get stronger, right? But there's always that point where they get to that point and they either break down in front of me or they just stop altogether, right? And it's like finding that right mindset for that person and being able to have that conversation as a personal trainer to kind of help them cope through that, because it's a difficult thing. Like, they're coming to you for a reason, right? And I find with a lot of personal trainers these days, they do not have that personal approach to it, right? And that's why I still love doing the one-on-one, even though group training, like we both do group training, like it's good to a certain degree, but that one-on-one still allows you to find out how that person is, go a little bit deeper into their lives. Because I love that, like, human behavior is very interesting to me, right? And like, obviously it's interesting to you because you know, like, a lot about like the psychology behind training, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I think that's super, super interesting.